This screencast is going to show you how to manage the libraries used by the Webform module. My name is Jake Rockwitz. I'm known as J Rockwitz on the web. I'm a Drupal developer and software architect. I built and maintain the Webform module for Drupal 8. First question is, why does Webform require so many external libraries? The answer is user experience. It's my number one goal with the module. It's what I think is one of the most important features of the Webform module for Drupal 8, is to provide a very rich user experience for people while they're building the forms and people who are submitting the forms. So for example, code mirror is required to make it easy to edit the YAML files associated with web forms. And then select to elements and chosen elements and image pickers and international telephone inputs are meant to help the experience of someone filling out the form, to make it easier, to provide a richer experience. And yes, there are a lot of external libraries. This is the current list of libraries, and there's explanations for why each library is included and what it's being used for. And you can look at that in the Webform module. But I just wanted to give you this list and then move on to say, so this is really important to emphasize, is every external library is optional. You can turn it off. You don't have to have these libraries installed on your site if you want to implement some custom version of the library or just not have the functionality. There's several ways to go about this excluding these libraries. Well, and it comes down to, how do you manage your web form libraries? Well, you can pick them. You can exclude certain libraries. These are global libraries that we're seeing here. These are applied to multiple elements or variations, so you could turn off code mirrors so that any place you're editing YAML, you'll just have a plain text field, because we're using progressive enhancement, so it's easy to turn off certain libraries. Or you don't want iCheck enhancements to checkboxes. You can turn that off, or input mask. Now, certain libraries are tightly coupled to elements, so you've got to disable the element if you don't want the library. The best example that comes to mind is the image picker. There's an image picker library, there's an image picker element. You wouldn't exclude the image picker library and still have the image element, because it stops working. All it is a select menu. So you should disable the image picker element, and then that will prevent the library from being downloaded. Now, to download your libraries, you have to use drush, is definitely the recommended way to do it. And there's 3 drush commands available to help you kind of choose how you want to manage your libraries. You can run drush webform libraries make to generate a make file that you can include in your build process if you're using drush make. Similarly, you could run drush webform libraries composer, which will generate a composer JSON file that you would have to pull the require and repositories, the list out, and put them into your composer JSON file. And finally, there's this drush command that just does it all for you at once. And if you run drush webform libraries download, it will use drush make and just download all the libraries to the libraries directory and take care of managing the versions. It even uninstalls previous versions and just takes care of the whole process for you. And very important to emphasize, you should check your status report, which monitors these libraries and these dependencies to make sure that they're installed correctly, that they're working correctly. If there's any issues finding certain key files, it tells you the version number. And it's important to say, what happens if you forget to download your libraries? Well, your libraries will be included using a CDN. It's the default behavior of the Webform module. So when you first install the Webform module and it's working, it's going out to CDNs and getting these libraries for you. You shouldn't go live with a site using CDN unless it's very deliberate and you want to. You should always download the libraries and have them included in your site so they can be compressed and bundled together. And I'd like to demo some of the functionality to you. So I have a clean install. It points you to the help section, which if I click through, the help section documents what libraries you need and gives you examples of these drush commands, and also gives you an explanation. I think it's worth just to pause on CK Editor. The reason the Webform module is including a dedicated CK Editor is we needed a simpler integration where we could get the image and link dialogues to work without coarse custom implementation. Hopefully this can go away down the line, and you can turn this off, and if you turn off the Webforms version of CK Editor, it will default to core CK Editor, but you'll lose linking your link dialogues and your image dialogues, and you'll have some other issues starting to crop up. And then there's other libraries here, and they're all listed, and it says, for example, the image picker is required by the image select element. Now, I'm going to jump over to the status report because that's where we can monitor these libraries. And you see there's these warnings because we don't have the libraries installed, and we're using the CDN, which is not recommended. Now, you can disable the CDN warning. I'm going to show you that really quickly. So you could say, I would like to use the CDN. It's a very deliberate statement. I don't recommend it. Now, before I go any further with this, I want to show you the drush command. So if you just clean install, we've done nothing. It's very important to emphasize the Webform module ships with reasonable defaults. You don't have to go start tweaking this. You do need to run this drush command, which will run out, give it a second, and it just got all the libraries and stuck them in the libraries directory. Now if we go back to our status report and hit refresh, it's all going to be good. We're going to have some warnings because of my local configuration. You see these are just development warnings, but if you scroll down here, it tells you which libraries you have installed. Now let's say we're here and we don't want CKEditor. We have our own, we don't want select to or chosen, and you can choose between select to or chosen for your enhancements, and it gives you a warning. You don't want both because they do similar things. I'm going to turn them both off. I'm going to hit save. And the status report will pick up on when things are excluded, so you're going to see this warning. Now the libraries, ready, if we scroll up, you're going to see it's excluded. It's not an error. This is a deliberate thing. It's telling us. We do have the library still sitting on the server, so I can run back to the command. And what it's doing is going to do a remove. There is a Webform libraries remove where it will purge all the old libraries out, and it does figure out that you excluded this, and now it's only downloaded the libraries that you want on your site. While I'm on the command line, I'd like to show you the make, where if you just write make, this is the make file. This is just the make directive that's running in the background. You would copy this list of libraries into your make file. And similar with Composer, this is a dedicated Composer file for the module that doesn't fully work, but it includes the repositories, which these are completely valid, and then the require statements that you would add to your global projects Composer file. Now, jumping back to settings. So right now, I just want to emphasize that we've turned off the libraries. These are like global libraries. Now, if we go over to elements, you can see you can control what elements are available. So this would be an example where you could go and uncheck the image select element. Or there's a geo-complete location, the rating element, if you didn't want that. And by excluding these elements, these libraries will also be excluded that are tied to these elements. That's pretty much the full demo. And now we're going to jump back. What's next? Well, make it even easier to manage your libraries, because right now there's this step, as Drupal figures it out, this could be made even easier where you run a global command for all of Drupal and it installs all your libraries, because right now we're only focused on the Webform libraries to get you the Webform module working. And, the to-dos are, well, first off, I want to emphasize the Webform module should add more libraries as needed if it's needed, and hopefully we can remove some libraries. I would really like to remove the CKEditor library, but I haven't been able to work around that issue that it requires those image and link dialogues and how to get that to work with Core's kind of custom version of the CKEditor. And then I think the big thing to make things easier is Composer integration. The community is working really hard to figure out how to get Composer to work in the build process. I can't include that require statement in the Webforms Composer file because it won't work. It won't go out to the repositories. Tests start breaking. Not a big deal. Developers who are using Composer for their build process will understand to go grab the repository list and the require list. And then there's a dedicated libraries API module, which I think once it has release candidate, has better integration and hopefully has a mechanism to download and manage the libraries and the version numbers. The Webform module can start leveraging that. And finally, I just want to say, how can I help you with Webforms in Drupal 8? I'm a consultant, and I'm available to help train and support, help you. We can build a feature and contribute it back to the Drupal community. And if you need help even integrating the Webform module into your project, you can contact me, and I can help you succeed. And you can reach me jrockwoods.com. I'm also jrockwoods@drupal.org. And thank you for your time.